Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. My name's GBay99. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. Today we're back with another video, which is a pretty long video, as I'm sure you can tell. This is going to be an uncut full gameplay commentary. It's been quite a while since we've done one of these. Now, the reason that we're doing this today is for a couple of different reasons. One of the reasons being that I just put out a video that analyzed a massive losing streak that we went on our road to Masters, and a lot of you guys commented on that video and a specific thing that I said. Early on in the video, I mentioned how the losing streak starts from me getting a little bit unlucky in having some frustrating games where I have to deal with a lane opponent who is super tilting and a lot of jungle camp. And in the video, I say that I don't make any major mistakes. A lot of you pointed to that and said, G-Bay, you're such an idiot. You need to get coaching, get LS to coach you, go get coaching. Yeah, you guys, I get it. Okay, you all want me to go get coaching. I'd like to see if I can get Masters on my own. Just a reminder, but a lot of you guys just pointed to that as proof that I'm not analyzing the mistakes that I'm making and all that kind of thing. That's not true. The reason that I say that in the video is I say that I'm not making any major mistakes, and what I'm referring to there is the strategy that I'm currently trying to use to climb up to Master Tier. Now, when you're climbing in League of Legends through solo queue, it's honestly just not a realistic goal for you to try and win every single game that you play. Even Faker, even the best player in the world, when he plays solo queue, he does not win every single game that he plays. The goal for you to climb in solo queue, in my opinion, should be for you to go and see if you can get a strategy and use a strategy that will cause you to win more games than you lose, sort of like if you're playing poker. I have a very specific strategy that I have sort of catered to Aurelia in particular, and that's a strategy that that's what I'm referring to when I say I'm not making any major mistakes. The strategy, for those of you curious, starts off with the first goal being you want to start off winning lane. You want to start off winning your lane, solo killing your opponent, getting a CS lead, and continuing to stomp that lane in laning phase all the way up until you take the first tower, or you just take top tower, or sometime in the mid game if you're not going to be able to take the tower. Then you roam to help the other lanes, help your other lanes get kills, get towers, and get dragon if it's up. You want to roam around in the mid game and make use of all your damage and power spike. Then, as you move into the late game, you want to start split pushing for objectives like towers, when your team can put pressure on other areas of the map and whatnot, and then finally group eventually when the team does need you. Now, this may sound like a very general strategy that could just be done in any possible way, like this is the sort of thing you want to do on every single champion, but it's honestly not. This is something that's very specifically catered to Aurelia. The reason that I say that is because Aurelia is the only she's really the only champion that you can use this strategy on, particularly because of her 1v1 abilities. This strategy revolves around me being able to go and try and win a laning phase 1 versus 1, and Aurelia can win a laning phase against any top laner. She doesn't have a super hard counter pick. There are some champions that do very poorly against Aurelia, and there are some champions that do much better, but if an Aurelia is skillful enough, and if the opponent makes mistakes, she will be able to win any lane regardless of the champion and get solo kills, assuming that the enemy top laner is playing aggressively enough that she's going to be able to go and engage for them. Not to say that, you know, if you're playing Aurelia in Challenger, then you should expect to solo kill a pro top laner or anything. But if you play right, and if you're smart about it, that's a very unusual thing about Aurelia, whereas other top laners like this Gragas that I'm laning against in this game, for instance, are going to want to go and be a little more passive and careful until they hit power spikes, getting super tanky in the mid and late game. Gragas, in this game, though, the reason that I point this game out as a game that I want to do a full gameplay commentary on is this is a game where I make no major mistakes. This is the sort of game that I'm referring to when I say I make no major mistakes. A major mistake, in my opinion, would be failing at one of these 4 main objectives. Failing at winning my laning phase. Just dying 1 versus 1, getting solo killed. There are certain things that I would say, okay, you know, if the jungler camps me and I die to jungle camp, then alright, that's a mistake, but that's not a major mistake. That's at the end of the day, it's kind of difficult to never die to a jungler if the jungler is going to 2v1 top lane. You certainly can, and it's certainly a mistake if you still die. It's a mistake depending on the situation. It's a different kind of mistake. But anyway, this is an example of a game where I don't have any mistakes in my strategy. There are maybe a couple of instances where I miss CS, and there are later on in the game a couple of instances where I do end up getting myself killed. But I think this is an interesting game to analyze because this might actually be the best game that I've played in ranked so far. This is in Mid Diamond 3, so we're playing against some pretty good players, and I execute my little strategy perfectly here. Now, the game starts off with me going and getting a kill on this Gragas, solo killing him in lane. I maybe didn't need to use my ultimate there, but I'm really happy about getting that solo kill. He used his flash earlier, you guys saw, on a very goofy flash where he was trying to use his body slam flash combo that I guess he just messed up. But we're able to get a kill on him. Maybe it was a little bit of a mistake to use that ultimate, but I used the ultimate to clear the minion wave. And then I'm going to be able to take this tower. This is a game this might be the earliest first tower I've ever taken myself, just on my own. But because Gragas teleported top lane, I'm going to be able to take this pretty easily and get the first tower for my team. And the reason that this game goes so well is because I'm able to go into that roaming mode. You'll see I'm going to take this tower, and then that's the first tower for my team. Good job. One of the big problems that I've had, and one of the issues that just in general I think a lot of top laners probably have, is when you take that first tower, you want to go ahead and stay in lane because it's still a lane that's going to have a ton of CS and solo kills, solo experience here, but there's not too much that you gain from it. Here, I'm going to set up for my Elise to go and get a kill on this Gragas, which is pretty nice. It's nice to get another kill on Gragas and shutting him down. He went for a triple Doran's Ring build, so he's going to be pretty far behind for the majority of this game, but things are looking pretty good for us so far. Now, I'm going to make the smart decision. I have successfully done the first part of our little objective was, winning the lane. I've won my lane, CS lead against Gragas, killed him a couple of times and taken the first tower. So now I want to start roaming to help out other lanes. This is something that I think is really easy for me to do. It's pretty formulaic. You'll notice in my strategy, I never mention TP ganking. The reason that I take teleport is to come back to lane top lane, and more importantly for split pushing in the late game. I want to be able to split push bot lane and have the threat of TPing into Baron, as well as having the threat of having a teleport, so if the top laner tries to TP gank bot lane, then I'll be able to follow up with my own TP, and we'll both go bot lane. That's more of a reason that I take teleport rather than trying to force teleports myself and say, okay, I'm going to TP gank bot lane no matter what. I've tried that before, and it doesn't really work out too well for me. I have a difficulty in seeing the situations where I should be doing that. So instead, I like to just roam around and then save the teleport for if I want to go back top lane to defend a tower or something. But anyway, so we've taken that first tower. We've beat our Gragas in laning phase. We're getting some items, and now we're going to start roaming. I didn't see a good opportunity to roam mid lane or bot lane yet, so instead, I try and bait the Lee Sin in the jungle, and we are able to do exactly that thanks to this Karma having a great job helping me out with that bait. And then after we see that he is dead, even though Elise is on the top side and she's going to go top lane to defend that Gragas from taking top tower, we're going to be able to take this dragon pretty easily due to Lee Sin being dead. There's no smite steal threat that we have to worry about. I drop a pink ward just in case there is some ward here and the mid and bot lane could come and show up, but we're able to take this Ocean Drake. Not the most important Drake, but it's still an objective, and that's the goal of this. Currently, we have a pretty even game so far, so we're going to try and make sure the game doesn't stay so even. We go mid lane now, and this is a Riven mid lane playing up against a Zed. I'm not entirely sure if I want to go and gank the Zed or gank bot lane, because both of the lanes have some escapes. It's an Ezreal bot lane, so he has his escape, and Zed can be pretty difficult to pin down. But we go ahead and roam bot lane, and then I believe Jhin here is going to be able to bait them into attacking him. As soon as they do, Karma and I engage, and we're able to finish off this Bard before he tries to magical journey away. Now that we've killed the Bard, we're going to go and see if we can take the bot tower. You see, Gragas is still top lane. He's still trying to take that tower, and a lot of the time, particularly in previous seasons, it was the meta for you to freeze a wave. And just freeze a wave at a certain point. If you lose your early tower, you want to freeze the wave so you make sure that you don't give too, like, it's really difficult for the enemy top laner to come and CS. If that Gragas froze his minion wave near his second turret, it would be really difficult for me to go and get that CS, and it would be, okay, I can't really go and farm that lane, but I can always roam, and that's sort of the goal. That's what killed that sort of meta, actually, was the ability to roam and the ability of taking so much gold from roaming, getting kills, and getting other towers. So that's exactly what we do here. You saw we did a pretty nice job finishing off that Ezreal, along with our Karma and Jhin, who set up to kill that AD carry pretty easily. 80 carries in 2017, lol. And then we take the bot tower. So now we've taken top tower, we've taken bot tower. Logical next step is to go and see if we can take mid tower. I think looking for mid tower and Rift Herald is where we're going to be wanting to look towards next, but I'm not entirely sure. I actually forget this game a little bit. I'm not entirely sure what happens next. I don't think we get the mid tower straight away. But anyway, you can sort of see how my strategy is taking shape at this point in the game. For the most part, this is a wildly successful early game for us, where we are having a massive impact on every single lane in the game. Currently, we have gotten a kill on every single player on the enemy team except for Zed. We've killed the Gragas, we've killed the Lee Sin, we've killed the Ezreal, and we've killed the Bard. So everything is going incredibly well for us. I do actually go top lane for a little bit here because I do want to farm and make sure that the Gragas doesn't take our tower. If at all possible, I want to defend as much as possible, but my mind right now is set up on taking more objectives like the Rift Herald here, which I wanted to set up for, but then I noticed that Zed is being a little bit aggressive mid lane, so I naturally want to go and get a kill on him, killing every single person on the enemy team. He doesn't see me, I get a nice stun, and even though he uses his thing to try and get away, we're able to burst him incredibly quickly and just delete half of his health. So things are going phenomenally well. We have a 5-kill lead on our opponents, and I have 5 kills, 1 on every single champion on the enemy team. Now, the logical next step is for us to take this mid tower, which also grows a global gold lead, and so far, again, everything is going very well when it comes to this strategy that we have. My logic in developing this strategy, obviously, is first just to take advantage of the Aurelia early game and mid game, where she can 1v1 people. That's why I want to focus on winning lane, but also she has a big power spike in the damage that she deals in the mid game, where she falls off later and later as the game goes on. So I want to take advantage of that and grow a lead early on, helping my team out, with the logic being, if I do so and everything works out, then we're going to win more games than we lose in the late game with such a big lead. Normally the lead isn't this big. This is a particularly good game, which is why I wanted to show it off in a video. But as you can see, we also want to get some damage on that inner turret, taking all the turrets that we possibly can. I've been incredibly turret focused lately. We see Lee Sin coming in behind and decide to go ahead and finish him off. He was getting a little bit too aggressive, looking for an engage that his team wasn't entirely ready for. Then we go and see if we can maybe get another fight here, maybe pick up another kill. But if they are, you know, you can see our teammates are taking them pretty low, dueling them here and there. I kind of want to see if we can go and take this tower, or maybe catch out someone who was a little bit overextended or something. So I stay in lane here, maybe a little bit too long, and this is something that you might call a mistake, right? You might say that this is a mistake, that I'm wasting time here because I'm not going to be able to do anything, and oh, look at that, Jhin just got baited and he almost dies. We're able to get a kill there, he does die, and it ends up getting us, you know, okay, we get a kill there and we're going to be able to finish off this Gragas, so it's technically worth it, but you might still say that that's a mistake because we were just being a little bit over aggressive and hoping the enemy team would either not be able to defend the tower if they were, you know, the only way they aren't really able to defend that is if they're too dumb, or the only reason they're going to be able to engage and try and get a kill and set up to let us get kills on them will be if they're a little bit dumb, if they just misjudge the situation and they don't realize that we can kill them. That's something that, again, you might say that's a mistake, but that's not what I would call a major mistake. That's a small mistake that's going to happen in every single game. Those are the kinds of mistakes that you see happen in every single game, the way that you're going to miss CS in every single game. Every once in a while, you're going to misjudge a CS or something. You shouldn't necessarily hurt or be too hard on yourself for those sorts of smaller issues that you might have in your gameplay, in my opinion at least. You should focus on the bigger things that will single-handedly win you games. Those are the things that you do well, or single-handedly lose you games. Those are the things that you do poorly. So right here, I'm going aggressive on this Gragas, and this, again, this could be a mistake, you could say. I go aggressive, and I I love this outplay. I was freaking out on stream. This was one of the best outplays I've had in a while on Aurelia. I don't even know how I lived that, but I was thinking that, okay, I have such a big lead. I can go and be aggressive even though I don't have vision of the Lee Sin, and then he comes and he takes me pretty low, but then our team shows up and we're able to juke people around and get a double kill on them. Then, naturally, our next objective is going to be going and taking this tower. And this is where, what's my score right now? I can hardly see it. I think that's 9-0, which is, again, the best score that I have had in such an early moment of the game. I'm legendary. We're taking Rift Herald. Elise is taking Rift Herald, and now we take this tower. This is a game that, at this point, I think it would be incredibly difficult for the enemy team to come back. They would have to ace us multiple times and take all these objectives and everything. So I start playing a little bit lazy. There are some moments where I start making some more serious mistakes here on out, but at the end of the day, I'm just sort of relishing the victory that we have, and I'm pretty excited about it all. You can see I'm going aggressive here and end up getting myself killed. That's a little bit lazy, a little bit of a goofy mistake, but again, we have such a big lead. I'm trying to have a little bit of fun here and there, more so than taking the game entirely 100% seriously. Since this is a bad habit. You don't do this if you have a big lead. Don't be a little aggressive and play for fun. You should still play seriously to close out the match, but yeah, I think I've had a pretty solid game to a point where I'm allowed a little leeway to have one big mistake. Anyway, though, if I respawn here for a second, sorry that the camera's just stuck on me. Now, the next objective for us is going to be looking for that split push. Now that we've sort of exited the mid game and we have successfully done everything that we could, I'm a little bit concerned here not knowing whether I should bother split pushing since there's only one inner turret left to take. It might just be better for our team to group. My strategy of split pushing or grouping in the late game is sort of something that's just a guideline. That this is why I got so excited at realizing how good Aurelia split push was when you have the Titanic Hydra. If you have a Titanic Hydra and you split push a ton, then the enemy team has to send more than one person to deal with you, since Aurelia at this point in the game can 1v1 almost anyone else in the game. That's a phenomenally exciting idea, that you can constantly just get these 1v1s when that's what Aurelia is good at. So I'm a little bit concerned. Should I try and split push here and maybe take an inhib turret, or maybe I should just group with the team at this point? Sometimes you should be grouping with the team because Aurelia's team fighting is still pretty damn good. But I decide to just sort of move my way around the map, clear minions, clear wards, and see if there's anything that I can... This is sort of like when you're playing soccer and you're just sort of passing the ball around the back and trying to find an opening to move up into the midfield or something. You're just sort of testing your opponents, moving around, trying to change things a little bit to catch people out, like you see Elise catching out Gragas right there in the bot lane. That bot inner turret is the only turret left that they have, and I would love to go split push it, but Elise is doing a great job doing that already. Well, the enemy team is, making some mistakes and not defending things properly and not really doing enough to set up to defend really anything. They aren't going to be able to defend the Baron if they keep it unwarded the way that they have, and they aren't, even though they're in like the top jungle and everything, they aren't really doing that much in there. Right here you see we're going to be able to catch this Lee Sin out a little bit, and he's going to I think he's actually going to be able to get away here, unfortunately. But we're going to be able to see the enemy team and keep on chasing after them. They do come back a little bit here towards the end with that Zed getting a double kill. And maybe this is an indication that we should have taken this a little more seriously. But I'm still... I want to keep on just having tons of fun here. So I'm going for a very aggressive dive and then end up getting away just by the skin of my teeth. This is like the prime example of why I play Aurelia. She's just so damn funny in these sorts of games and these sorts of situations where you get to dive so hard and still make it out with just a sliver of health. But anyway, this is a video in general that I think you can see how this game is going. We're going to be able to close this out here with a little bit of split push and team fighting at the end, setting up for Baron to finish the game off that way, I believe. But again, this is a video that I wanted to make, not necessarily... I didn't want to just point out the comments of our last video and say that, I didn't want to make fun of you guys the way that I did last time I saw an unusual comment. But this is an example of what I mean when I say that... you know, when I'm looking for major mistakes and minor mistakes, I think some mistakes are definitely more worthy of taking notes on and trying to fix than others, which isn't to say that you shouldn't try and eventually perfect your game and fix everything about it, but at the end of the day, you still need to... You can't fix everything all at once. You need to focus on individual things one at a time. If I can perfect this strategy and every single game I can set myself up to win lane where I'm warding to make sure the jungle doesn't come and ruin the one lane with a gank, I'm paying attention to the minimap, and you know, those are mistakes that sort of filter into this, but jungle camp is a little bit of a different thing that I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to win a lane if it's 2v1 top lane, but you know, just focusing on winning that lane, then roaming to help others. If I can do all of that perfectly every single game, then yeah, I'm going to go ahead and look on the next thing, look at the next set of mistakes that I have, maybe the mistakes that I'm labeling as more minor mistakes, but are still hurting us quite a bit, some decision-making things, but again, at the end of the day, I think that developing a strategy to try and make sure you're just winning more games than you lose, and setting your team up so that your team's going to be able to win more games than you lose is going to be how you win games in League of Legends and how you climb in solo queue. Like this Baron right here is a bit of a risky Baron, but I think at the end of the day, going for this Baron, we end up killing it with a Jhin auto attack. And that's great. We also end up living. You could maybe say that's, I don't know, you could maybe say that's a coin flip play or something. But at the end of the day, I think going for that Baron was the right decision, because more than half of the time, we're going to either get the Baron ourselves, or the enemy team might steal it, but we're going to be able to kill them, you know, kill a number of people on the enemy team while they're going and trying to steal that Baron. And, you know, just killing some people is going to set us up so we can take an inhibitor or inhibitor towers or something. But in this particular game, everything works out. We get the Baron, we also kill them all. It's the best of both worlds, and then I make a teleport top lane to take this inhibitor turret, which, that, again, maybe that's not the most efficient use of teleport. One thing that I didn't do too well this game is use my teleport super efficiently, but again, I did all that we had to do to make sure that this game turned into a win, and maybe that's not the sort of thing, maybe this strategy isn't the sort of thing that everyone would agree with. Maybe LS or, you know, some coach would tell me that it's not something I should be focusing on, but it's something that I want to see if I can make it all work out, and so far it is working out pretty well for me. This is maybe one of the, you know, this is the highest rating that I've played at in quite a while, ever, really. I mean, I think I was technically 20 LP higher than what we were at this game, but I was 20 LP higher a couple of weeks ago. But other than that, we have been on a roll, and this has been working out pretty well for us, so I want to continue just trying my strategy out, seeing if I can make everything work, and trying to fix and adjust things as they need to be adjusted. I definitely realize that this strategy is probably going to stop working somewhere around Diamond 2, Diamond 1. What I hear through word of mouth is that in those ratings, that's when people start being a little bit smarter when it comes to responding to split push, and hopefully people are still sort of dumb enough that they still only send one person so I can go and 1v1 them and kill them, which is what I love so much about that split push in the mid and late game. But anyway, back to this game. You can see we're closing this out. We're going to finally take this bottom turret. We took the mid inhib turret. And now we're going to split bot lane here. This is the final piece of the puzzle. Now that we have our massive lead, now that we have all our items, and that we're, you know, still at a major power spike. Aurelia pretty much stays at her power spike all the way until maybe level 15 is when the enemy starts really getting tanky and more difficult for you to burst down. But right now, with how far the enemy team is behind, we're still able to, even though we die there, we still set up for our team to get a bunch of kills here, and I believe finish off all the inhibs that the enemy has. So, again, in conclusion, you guys love to criticize me, and I appreciate it. You guys do criticize me sometimes in some very valid ways, where you say my decision-making is off, and I do think that there are definitely times in YouTube videos where I have poor decision-making, I mess up something here and there, and that's perfectly fine to yell at me and make fun of me about in the comments. Go ahead and do all that all you want. You're just looking at my dead body right here from a mistake that I made. There are still mistakes that I make in every single game, and you can really go to any YouTube video, any player. everyone's going to make mistakes here and there throughout a League of Legends game or throughout a League of Legends career. All the games you play over your lifetime, you're going to make mistakes no matter how good you are or what rating that you're at. But making sure you pay attention to the big mistakes that you make, the major mistakes, and maybe just being satisfied with pushing back the minor ones a little bit to focus on perfecting your own strategy and making sure that you're just winning more games than you're losing. That's the name of the game when it comes to playing League of Legends and specifically grinding solo queue, also specifically grinding solo queue as a top laner. That's the sort of strategy I use as a top laner, and you can feel free to copy it if you'd like. You may want to adjust things quite a bit if you're doing this for another role. Strategies are going to be different for different roles, but anyway, I hope you all enjoyed watching this video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to leave a like. Maybe we'll do more full gameplay commentaries in the future. But until next time, thank you very much for watching. Good luck in solo queue, and have a wonderful day.